Hey everybody, this is Steve with another episode of Keep 'em Rolling. In fact, this is episode 6 in the Keep 'em Rolling marathon, and we're just going to keep rolling these videos out until the shenanigans with this virus that shall not be named comes to an end. So we'll see how many videos that turns out to be. Hopefully not that many more. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Regardless, I had a few ideas for today's video in mind, but yesterday, and I do apologize for this, but yesterday I wanted to get the video out around 8 o'clock, and I had it finished. I just couldn't get it to upload. And it took me until about 2 o'clock in the morning to realize that I did not have my Wi-Fi turned on. So it was just operator error. And once I remedied that, the video uploaded fine, and I was able to move on from there. But that late night really killed me, and I am dragging tail today. So I decided to just kind of put the other videos to the side for the moment and just focus on something quick and easy. Plus, I've never done a weapons video before for my channel, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. So what I want to share with you today is my M1895 Mosin Nagant Russian revolver from World War II. And I never intended to own one of these. I've always loved these simply because of their over-engineering, the uniqueness of how they operate and so forth, but I just never thought I would own one. And the reason being is that I primarily collect US, and I really didn't want to start down the rabbit hole of other countries, if you will. But what happened and how this came to me was a number of years ago, the Russian weapons from World War II, the surplus, flooded the US market. I mean, you could not go into a gun shop without finding literally cases of Nagant rifles, carbines, and the revolvers. And the people who experience this, they know exactly what I'm talking about. There were literally cases. I could go into my local gun shop, and I can still to this day remember walking in the front door, and you'd walk left into the gun store proper, and you'd walk right into kind of this ad hoc area, and in this ad hoc area were literally cases of Nagant rifles, and you could buy a single rifle for like, I think it was $75, or you could buy a whole case unopened. And I probably should have splurged and bought a whole case, but you don't think about that stuff. You think, why would I ever need that many rifles? Well, the same thing with the pistols. They had a whole, I think it was 9 to 10 in their gun display case, and $65. I had gone in that particular day to pick up black powder for my Civil War musket, and I saw them in the case, and $65, I mean, that's just a no-brainer. So I decided I would pick one up. And that came with the holster, it came with the lanyard, it came with just a takedown tools and everything for $65. Now, what was interesting, though, is that the ones in the case were all 1945 dated. In fact, the gentleman who helped me said, they're all dated 1945, except this one right here, which is dated 1952. And I thought, 1952, that's odd, because they didn't make these past 1945. They just didn't have them in 1952 as far as manufacturing them. And what I found out later from the clerk was the gun shop owner, the manager, if you will, was pulling all the pistols that were like pre-war and early war, and they were selling them through like an auction site and so forth, because they felt that the early ones were worth more money, and that the 1945 ones, well, they were what they were because they were in a case and probably saw no action, etc. So they felt that the earlier dated ones were much more desirable. So in their store, they only had the 1945s plus this odd 1952. So I asked to see the 1952 because, once again, they didn't make them past 45. So he pulled it out, and I looked at the date. When you look at the date, at first glance, it does look like 1952, but when you look closer, you realize that pitting and stuff, it's actually 1932. And as we looked at it closer, he realized that, and he actually tried to talk me out of it. He was like, oh, maybe you want one of these ones. They're much better condition than this one. And I'm like, nope, I want the 1932. Now, realistically, does that date make this any more valuable? Nah, not really. It is what it is. But for me, it makes it more valuable because I know that a 1932 dated pistol had the opportunity to be worn, used, carried, issued, etc. It most likely didn't spend its life sitting in a crate. Whereas the 1945 pistol, that most likely was manufactured, crated, and that's where it stayed until broken out for surplus. So the date to me was more valuable, but monetarily, I don't know why they were figuring that the earlier dated ones were worth that much more money, but it is what it is. So I managed to score this for $65. I was very happy with it. Now it came with a post-war holster, which, that is what it is. But I have a friend who, he does Russian reenacting, and he actually got me into Russian reenacting, and that may be a video that we will do later of my World War II Russian kit. He said that he had a friend of his that manufactured the correct holsters for the pistol. So I thought, yeah, sure, I'd love to get a wartime, reproduction holster. And I made a fatal mistake and did not ask how much. I just assumed I'd be paying, $25, $30. No. In the end, because it's handmade, I ended up paying, it was $75 for the holster, if my memory serves me. $75. I actually paid more for the holster than I did for the actual firearm. I think that's the first time in my life I've ever done something like that. But, despite that, I'm still very happy with the holster. I think it's a beautiful holster, and it complements the weapon, and I know that if I ever go to sell this, that I will get my money out of that, no problem. So that is my M1895 Mosin Nagant Revolver. I haven't shot it yet. I have a pistol range near me, a firing range that I can go to, and I actually took it there to shoot, but ran out of time before I got to it, unfortunately. So that brings me to the ammunition. I'd been slow to shoot this because I had not been able to acquire the ammo. The gun stores just didn't have it. No one seemed to have it. I'd have to order it. And every time I get close to ordering it, something else would come up and it'd go by the wayside. Well, last year I was at a military show and everybody had Nagant ammo. The gentleman next to me, he had a couple of boxes, so I scored those. And then another gentleman a few tables over, he had some boxes, so I grabbed those. And another gentleman, well, he had some boxes, so I grabbed those. Good old 7.62 millimeter. I thought, why the heck not? I can build up my surplus now, and now I can go shoot. So I was very happy with that. I didn't pay very much. The only thing is, I don't know how to date this ammo, so maybe one of you can help me in the comment section. It's obviously surplus. When you look at it, I don't know if we can zoom in, you can see that there's a stamping on there, 78 and 33 or 38, something like that. So I'm thinking that it's probably 78, manufactured 1978, if that's what that means. I doubt it's 1938 ammunition, but I could be wrong. So I'm leaning more towards the 70s, or those might be not dates at all. So if somebody knows their Nagant dating, ammo dating, please chime in and let me know. So regardless, it's just nice to have the ammunition. So that's the story of my M1895 Mosin Nagant revolver. And for you guys who are, and gals who are younger collectors, I'm sorry to say that the milsurp days for those, I think, have come to an end. I don't see a huge influx of milsurp Russian happening anytime soon. But if it does, be sure to take advantage of it. Once again, to this day, I still kick myself a little bit of just buying this one. I should have bought maybe 2 or 3 of those pistols, even though they were 1945 dated, just to have, because now you just don't find them out there in the quantity that you used to, and the prices have gone up to $200, $300. I've even seen one for $400, $500. So, hey, that concludes today's video. Everybody, stay safe, stay sane. We'll see you all tomorrow, and this is Steve reminding all of you to keep them rolling.